Homeless black girl finds Arab CEO in the trash. What happened next changed her life. Dad, is this man dead? The voice of 9-year-old Zara Johnson trembled as she poked the still body with a rusty pipe. It was 11:37 a.m. on a Tuesday, and the August sun beat down relentlessly on the abandoned Newark landfill. The man lay face down amidst torn bags and rotten food scraps, wearing an Armani suit that must have cost more than everything Zara and her father had ever seen. Fresh blood seeped from his right temple, forming a dark puddle that contrasted with the white of his shirt. Trevor Johnson, 34, approached cautiously, kneeling beside the body. His calloused hands touched the man's neck, searching for a pulse. He's alive. Weak, but alive. He looked around nervously. The landfill was gang territory, and finding someone like this, clearly rich and injured, spelled trouble. Zara, get back to the truck. Now. But he'll die if we leave him here, Dad. The girl didn't move, her brown eyes fixed on the stranger's pale face. He's trying to say something. On the man's wrist, a watch glittered like liquid gold. But to understand how a billionaire Arab-American CEO ended up unconscious in a dump, and why helping him would become the most dangerous decision Trevor and Zara would ever make, we need to go back 3 hours. To when Faisal Al-Mansour, 42, owner of the $3.2 billion Al-Mansour Holdings, walked into the boardroom on the 58th floor of his own Manhattan tower, unaware that his partner and his wife had just signed his death warrant. The meeting started at 8:30 a.m. Faisal sat at the head of the table, surrounded by 8 people. To his right was Victor Chun, 45, his partner and CFO for 15 years. To his left, Nadia, 38, his wife and VP of Operations. Someone is diverting funds. $3 million over the last 6 months. And I know who it is, Faisal said, looking directly at Victor. You have until today to return the money and resign. Or I'm calling the FBI tomorrow. Victor stood up abruptly. You are making a mistake, Faisal. I have auditors confirming everything. It's over. What Faisal didn't see was the look Victor exchanged with Nadia. Victor stormed out, came back 10 minutes later with coffee. Let's talk calmly. Drink this. He placed a cup in front of Faisal, who took a long sip. The coffee tasted bitter. 15 minutes later, Faisal started sweating coldly. The room spun. He tried to stand, but his legs wouldn't respond. What did you do? Victor smiled. Just accelerating your inevitable heart attack. Company stress, you know how it is. Nadia grabbed her purse and left without looking back. Goodbye, Faisal. Faisal collapsed onto the floor, conscious but unable to move. He heard Victor on the phone. Yes, he's unconscious. Take him to the designated place. And make sure no one finds the body. 2 unknown security guards carried him out like a sack of trash. The last thing he saw was the ceiling of the service elevator descending. When he woke up, he was being thrown from a moving van. He hit his head on the concrete, and everything went dark. 3 hours later, Zara found him. Trevor looked at his daughter, then at the man, then at the $50,000 watch. He could take it, leave the man, and have enough money to rent an apartment for a year. Dad, we can't leave him. Zara's voice was firm, firmer than it should be for a 9-year-old who had lost her mother 2 years prior and lived in a 1998 Dodge Ram with her father. Trevor sighed. He knew that stubborn look. Okay. But this is gonna bring trouble. We already have trouble every day, don't we? Trevor slid his arms under Faisal's body and lifted him. They walked to his rusty 1996 Ford F-150 used for his scrap metal business. They put Faisal in the back seat, covered him with a tarp, and Trevor started the engine. Where are we going? To the only place that gives stitches without asking questions. They drove 40 minutes to an industrial area in Elizabeth, where Joshua, 51, a black former military nurse, had an improvised clinic in a warehouse basement. Man, did you steal a sheik? Joshua whistled. We found him in the trash, Trevor corrected. Joshua examined Faisal. He was drugged. Heavy sedative. The blow isn't fatal, but he'll have a concussion. And depending on what they gave him, he might have temporary amnesia. Or permanent. Like, he won't remember anything? Zara repeated. Exactly. Faisal groaned, trying to focus. He saw unfamiliar faces. A man with a gray beard in a dirty lab coat. A little girl with braids and worried eyes. Where am I? His voice was hoarse. You're safe, Joshua said. What is your name? Faisal opened his mouth. And realized. He didn't know. He had no idea who he was. I don't know. The words came out of Faisal like a painful confession. I don't know my name. I don't know where I live. I don't know anything. He touched his own head with a trembling hand, feeling the bandage Joshua had just placed. He looked at his own expensive clothes covered in dirt and blood as if they belonged to a stranger. How can I not know who I am? Joshua exchanged a worried glance with Trevor. The amnesia could be temporary. It could last days, weeks. Or, he paused, choosing his words. It could be permanent if the trauma was severe enough. Zara approached the improvised cot where Faisal was sitting. You have this on your wrist. She pointed to the Patek Philippe watch that even under a layer of dirt shone with undeniable value. There must be something written, like a name or a number. Faisal looked at the watch as if seeing it for the first time. He turned it slowly, looking for an inscription. On the back, engraved in Arabic and English, to Faisal, my eternal love. Nadia. He ran his finger over the letters. Faisal. Is that my name? It looks like it, Trevor said. And Nadia must be someone important to you. What Trevor didn't say out loud was that if this man had this watch, he had much more. And people with a lot had enemies with even more. We need to get out of here, Joshua said suddenly, looking out the dirty basement window. If someone is looking for you, Faisal, this is the first kind of place they'll check. Underground clinics, hospitals with no questions asked. Where do we take him? Trevor asked, already knowing the answer would complicate his life further. Home. Zara suggested as if it were obvious. Trevor looked at his daughter in disbelief. Zara, we don't have a home. We have a truck. Then he stays in the truck with us, she replied with relentless childish logic. Better than letting him die. Faisal watched the exchange between father and daughter, slowly processing. You live in a truck. His voice carried confusion, not judgment. For 2 years, Trevor replied, defensive despite not needing to be. Since my wife, her mother, died of cancer. Medical bills ate everything. We lost the apartment. But we survive. I work scrap metal, Zara helps me. We manage. There was pride in his voice, pride in having kept his daughter alive and relatively safe despite everything. Faisal nodded slowly. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. I don't know what I meant. I don't even know who I am to judge anyone. Look, Joshua interrupted, grabbing an old backpack and filling it with bandages and medicines. Take this. Change the dressings twice a day. If he starts running a fever or vomiting, you call me. And Faisal, he turned to the man on the cot. Don't try to force the memory. When it wants to come back, it will. Pushing can make it worse. He handed the backpack to Trevor and something else. A .38 caliber revolver. I don't want this, Trevor said, pushing the gun back. You'll need it, Joshua insisted. People who dump a billionaire in the trash don't give up easily. They will look. And when they find you, they'll want to make sure the job was finished. That's when they heard it. The sound of a car stopping outside the warehouse. Doors slamming. Men's voices coordinating a search. Joshua turned pale. Back exit. Now. Trevor grabbed Faisal by the arm, helping him stand. Zara was already running to the door that led to the alley. They moved fast, Trevor practically carrying Faisal, who was still weak. They reached the truck just as they heard the warehouse front door being kicked in. Trevor cranked the sputtering engine, praying it would catch on the first try. It did. They sped out of the alley, tires squealing. Did they see us? Zara asked, looking through the broken side mirror. I don't know, Trevor replied, turning a corner sharply. But we're not taking chances. He drove for 20 minutes, making random turns, constantly checking if they were being followed. Faisal was in the back seat, holding his head, trying not to vomit from the car's movement. Finally, Trevor stopped in the parking lot of an abandoned supermarket in Newark. We stay here tonight. Tomorrow we decide what to do. When it got completely dark, Trevor divided a can of tomato soup among the three of them. They ate in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Faisal looked at his soft, uncalloused hands, so different from Trevor's working hands. I should pay you. For saving me. With what? Trevor asked without hostility. You don't have anything but that watch. And selling that now would put a target on our backs. Faisal touched the watch. Nadia. The woman who engraved this. She must be looking for me, worried. Maybe she's the one who tried to kill you, Zara said suddenly. They all looked at her. What? Faisal asked. Think about it. You're rich, right? Expensive clothes, expensive watch. Someone drugged you and dumped you in the trash. Why? Money. It's always money. And who has the most access to you? Family. The brutal logic of a child who had seen too much of the world's dark side. Faisal felt a chill run down his spine. Could it be possible? She engraved eternal love on the watch, he argued weakly. People lie, Zara replied. Especially when they want something. Trevor put a hand on his daughter's shoulder. That's enough, Zara. You're scaring the man. But he was also thinking the same thing. He had seen enough betrayal in the world to know that Zara could be right. We need to find out who you really are, Trevor said to Faisal. But do it without drawing the attention of whoever wants you dead. Do you remember anything? Anything at all? Faisal closed his eyes, forcing his mind. Fragments appeared. An office with a city view. A meeting. Anger. A bitter taste. But nothing concrete. A meeting. There was a meeting. And someone, betrayed. But I can't see faces. It's a start, Trevor said. That night, sleeping in the cramped truck, Faisal had nightmares. He saw Nadia, not with love, but with a cold, calculating look. He saw Victor smiling predatorily. He woke up sweating, with Zara shaking his shoulder. You were shouting, she whispered. Talking about money and betrayal. Faisal looked out the dirty truck window, seeing the dawn break over Newark. He had lost his memory, but gained something unexpected. Two people who didn't know him, but chose to save him anyway. And somewhere in the city, people who knew him very well were hunting to ensure he never remembered the truth. 3 weeks passed. Faisal had learned to sleep in the truck's tight seat, to wash his face in gas station restrooms, to eat what Trevor could afford with little cash. His hair grew shaggy, a beard covered his once clean-shaven face, and the Armani suit had been exchanged for a donated t-shirt and ripped jeans. He no longer looked like a billionaire. He looked invisible. Exactly as Trevor and Zara always were. I learned something, Faisal said one morning while helping Trevor unload copper at the scrapyard. His muscles ached, his hands bled from new cuts, but there was a strange satisfaction in the physical work. I learned that being rich must have made me blind. Because you live like this every day and no one sees you. No one cares. Trevor looked at him with new respect. Welcome to the real world. But life on the streets had an expiration date when assassins were still searching. It was Zara who saw it first. A black van parked across the street from the scrapyard. The same van she had seen 3 times in the last week in different places. Dad, she pulled Trevor's sleeve urgently. That van. It's following us. Trevor looked discreetly. 2 men inside, wearing sunglasses despite the cloudy day. One was talking on the phone. Faisal, walk slowly to the truck. Don't run. Don't look back. But it was too late. The van door opened. 4 men got out. Black suits, coordinated movements of professionals. The leader pointed directly at Faisal. You. Come with us. It doesn't have to be difficult. Faisal froze, fragmented memories exploding. These men. He knew these men. They worked for who? He's not going anywhere, Trevor said, putting himself between Faisal and the men. His hand went to the .38 caliber revolver Joshua had given him, hidden in his waistband. The leader smiled coldly. Mr. Johnson, correct? Trevor Johnson? And this is your daughter Zara, 9 years old. Lives in the Ford F-150 parked at 847 Newark Street. It would be a shame if something happened to you for interfering in matters you don't understand. How do you know our names? Trevor asked, but he already knew the answer. These men had resources. They had investigated. "We know everything about you," the man replied, "including that Mr. Johnson has an outstanding warrant for 2 unpaid traffic tickets. That Zara should be in school but is on the streets. It would be terrible if social services received an anonymous call." It was a pure threat. Trevor felt anger burn. They were using his daughter against him. That's when Faisal stepped forward. "I'll go with you. Leave them alone." His voice was firm despite the fear. "No." Zara screamed. "They'll kill you." "Smart girl," the leader said. "But don't worry. We're just taking Mr. Al-Mansour back home." To his wife, who is so worried. The name. Al-Mansour. Something clicked in Faisal's mind like a door unlocking. Memory flooded like a broken dam. Nadia. Victor. The meeting. The bitter coffee. The betrayal. Everything came back at once, so violently that he staggered. "Nadia isn't worried," Faisal said, his voice changing from confused to authoritative. "She's afraid I'm still alive. Because she and Victor poisoned me and dumped me here to die." The men exchanged glances. The leader regained his composure. "Mr. Al-Mansour, you've suffered trauma. You're confused. Your wife—" "My wife is a murderer," Faisal interrupted him. "And you work for her now. How much did she pay? How much is my life worth?" Tense silence. Trevor used the distraction to pull out the revolver. "Everybody back away. Now." The confrontation exploded. One of the men pulled a weapon, but Joshua appeared from behind the metal container. He had followed the group after realizing the danger, and knocked the subject down with an iron bar. Trevor fired into the air, dispersing the crowd of onlookers beginning to form. "Police! Someone call the police!" Zara shouted loudly, and that was enough. The men ran back to the van, not wanting public attention. They sped away, leaving tire marks. Trevor lowered the gun, his hands trembling. "We can't stay here." "I know where to go," Faisal said, his memory now crystal clear. "My daughter. I have a daughter. Layla, 14 years old. She's at a boarding school in Connecticut. Nadia sent her there 6 months ago, saying it was for better education. Now I understand. Nadia wanted her far away when she killed me." Anger and despair mixed in his voice. "I need to protect my daughter. And I need evidence against Nadia and Victor." "Evidence you already have," Joshua said, showing his cell phone. "I recorded everything. Threats, implicit confession, everything." Faisal looked at the 3 of them. A black ex-military man living on the fringes. A single father who had lost everything but maintained his dignity. A 9-year-old girl wiser than most adults. People society ignored, but who had saved his life. "I promise you," Faisal said solemnly, "when I get my company back, when I put Nadia and Victor in jail where they belong, I will ensure that you never spend another day on the streets." "We didn't do this for money," Trevor said. "I know," Faisal replied. "And that's exactly why I'm going to do it." They drove all night to the boarding school in Connecticut. When Layla saw her bearded, thin, unrecognizable father, she screamed and ran into his arms. "Mom said you had a nervous breakdown and were in a clinic," she cried. "She lied, Habibi," Faisal whispered, using the affectionate Arabic term he hadn't remembered for weeks. "But Daddy is back now." With Layla safe, with evidence in hand, with unlikely allies by his side, Faisal was ready. Ready to return to Manhattan. Ready to confront the traitors. Ready to reclaim his empire. But first, he had a promise to keep. A promise to the girl who found him in the trash and chose to see a human, not garbage. 2 days later, Faisal walked into the Al-Mansour Holdings lobby for the first time in 4 weeks. He was shaved, haircut, wearing a new suit. But he was not alone. Trevor and Zara were by his side, Joshua close behind, and Layla held his hand. The receptionist went white. "Mr. Al-Mansour, but how, where's my wife?" Faisal asked with a voice that allowed no evasion. "And Victor Chen?" Nadia was in Faisal's old office, sitting in his chair, signing documents. When the door opened and she saw him, the pen fell from her hands. "Faisal." The name came out as a horrified whisper. You should be, dead." Faisal completed, walking into the room. "Yes, I should be. But a 9-year-old girl found me in the trash where you threw me. And she chose to save me. Victor appeared from the adjacent conference room and froze. This is impossible. The dose was lethal. You can't. But I am, Faisal interrupted him. Faisal placed a USB drive on the table. Recordings of your men threatening me. Implicit confession. Documents of the poisoning that Joshua obtained through a contact at the hospital where you got the sedative. And, he paused dramatically, a complete audit showing that you embezzled not 3, but 8 million over the last 2 years. Nadia stood up abruptly. You can't prove any of that. I am your wife. You are my murderer, Faisal corrected. And I've already called the FBI. As if in response, federal agents entered the office. Victor tried to run but was stopped immediately. Nadia maintained her composure until the last second. You will regret this, Faisal. I know secrets about you that I don't care anymore, he said tiredly. Do what you want. But you'll be doing it from behind bars. As they were led away in handcuffs, Nadia looked at Zara with contempt. You saved the wrong man, little girl. He will disappoint you like he disappointed everyone. Zara did not look away. He already saved me back. That's more than you ever did for anyone. 3 months after Nadia and Victor's arrest, transformations took place. Trevor received management of the Al Mansour Holdings recycling program, an annual salary of $85,000, a 2-bedroom apartment in Jersey City. Zara was enrolled in private school, with a new uniform and a backpack full of books she read voraciously. Joshua ran a fully equipped and legal community clinic funded by the company. This is too much, Trevor had protested when Faisal offered. It's not, Faisal replied. It's the minimum. 1 year after the day at the dump, Faisal hosted a dinner in his Manhattan penthouse. Trevor and Zara sat at the table next to Layla, who had become Zara's best friend despite the age difference. Dad, Zara taught me how to identify precious metal in scrap today, Layla said, laughing. And I taught her Arabic, Faisal added, smiling at Zara, who now spoke basic phrases perfectly. The barriers between 2 worlds had completely fallen. Do you remember the exact moment your memory returned? Zara asked during dessert. I remember, Faisal said. It was when that man threatened you. I realized it didn't matter who I was before. What mattered was who I chose to be at that moment. And I chose to protect you. Trevor cleared his throat, moved. You know we didn't expect any of this, right? We just did what was right. I know, Faisal replied. And that's exactly why you deserve everything. People who do the right thing without expecting reward are rarer than any fortune. 2 years after the event, Zara, now 11, won the school's top student award. In her speech, she said, My father taught me that dignity is priceless. Faisal taught me that wealth without humanity is poverty. And my mother, whom I lost, taught me that love is the only thing we take with us when everything else disappears. There wasn't a dry eye in the auditorium. Faisal realized that Zara was right that day at the scrapyard. Nadia chose money over love. And lost both. He chose people. And gained a family. Nadia and Victor served 12 and 15 years in prison respectively. The company prospered under Faisal's leadership, who implemented hiring programs for the homeless and former inmates. Everyone deserves a second chance, he would say in interviews. I got mine in a landfill. The story went viral, inspiring other companies. Trevor eventually started his own recycling consulting firm. Zara, at 18, earned a full scholarship to Harvard. Layla became a human rights lawyer. On the 3rd anniversary of the day they met, Faisal took Trevor and Zara back to the landfill, now transformed into a community park that Faisal had funded. It was here, Zara said, pointing to the grassy area. This is where I found you. No, Faisal corrected gently. This is where you saved me. And taught me that a person's worth is not in what they have, but in what they choose to do when no one is looking. Trevor put his arm around his daughter's shoulders. And you taught me that sometimes helping a stranger can change the world. They stood there in silence, 3 people from completely different worlds united by a choice made in a moment of pure humanity. Zara was only 9 when she chose to see a man instead of an opportunity. Trevor had every reason to let Faisal die but chose compassion. Faisal could have returned to his old life and forgotten them, but chose gratitude. You know what I learned? Faisal said as the sun set over the park. I learned that losing everything was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because it forced me to discover who I truly was beneath the money and power. And who are you? Zara asked. Faisal smiled. Someone who was found in the trash and was reborn as a real human being.